Hi, I'm Jane Hilsden, marketing consultant and founder of Dragonfly Marketing. Welcome to this episode of the How to Do Marketing Show, a no-nonsense podcast about marketing for small business. It's our mission at Dragonfly Marketing to put marketing on the agenda for every regionally based small business in Australia. Why? Because we know that when marketing is done properly, it can help your business grow. We believe small businesses are the backbone of our nation. When your business grows, it benefits not only you and your family, it benefits your whole community. Small businesses create a vibrant and connected economy. We employ local people, we donate to local charities, and we work together to build resilient and thriving regional communities. The How to Do Marketing Show is a podcast just for you and your small business. Bursting with marketing insight and information, this show will be a fabulous resource to help you know all there is to know about the topic of marketing for small business. We are joined this episode by the utterly delightful Emma Lovell. Emma Lovell is a personal branding specialist who helps people to better communicate their message and their mission to have a greater impact, to reach more people and really make a difference in the world. She's passionate, professional, and lovely. Emma believes that each of us has a unique personal brand, and by understanding how to share it, you can gain greater clarity, confidence, and connections in work and life. I think personal branding is often underestimated or even kind of shied away from in small business, and it shouldn't be. Have a listen to this episode and see what you think. Welcome to the How to Do Marketing Show, Emma.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Jane.
No problems at all. I'm really excited to get into this chat because I really do love the topic of personal branding. And you and I have had some great conversations about this topic over the last month or so. So I'm really excited for our listeners to hear what you have to say. You're very passionate about this space. So let's get stuck in. And my first question is, I just wanted to get you to explain the difference between a personal brand and a business brand, because two completely different things, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think everybody understands a business brand. And I think when, I'm explaining to people, you sort of think about those big ones like your Apple, your McDonald's, your Disney, and when you think of those brands, you instantly get a feeling. You know what they're about, their story. You might have a sort of like or dislike towards them, but you instantly have a connection. The thing is, you can also have that with your personal brand, and we're talking about on a different scale. The difference between it is a business brand talks as we, as the collective, as they're an organisation. They have a team behind them. They've created a personality, but it's very much we. Whereas a personal brand is I, and it's getting people to say, I am, I do this, I feel, I make, and sort of standing in their own power. And just as it's sort of different to your personality, it's all of those ways you come across. And the way I describe it best is that it's how you promote yourself, your personal brand. It's that unique combination of skills, experience, and personality that you want the world to see. And it's the telling of your story and how it reflects your conduct, your behaviour, your spoken and unspoken words. So, but it's also a combination of how you see yourself and how others see you. That's what makes up the personal brand. So the funniest thing is I have a lot of people who go, oh, I don't know if I want a personal brand, or I don't know if I want to do that. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, you have one.
Yes.
You're not in control of it, perhaps, because people already view you in a certain way. The way you're presenting yourself, the way you're coming across is already creating an image in their mind.
So true. So it's actually not something we get a choice in, really.
No, but you have the choice in how you want to present that, how you want to, I guess, amplify it, how you want to utilize it. And it's, it's going to take some work. Those brands that we know, those, Apple, Nike, McDonald's, they didn't just, set up shop one day and be like, oh, wow, I know what that's all about.
Yes.
They've done a lot of work for you to make that connection so quickly.
Yeah.
And so when you work on your personal brand and when you're really clear about it and communicating it well, it means all that sort of hard work you put in at that start, it makes the connection so much quicker.
Yes.
So you can create a rapport with people much quicker. And that's through your, the written and the spoken and the online presence and all of it working together.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So the personal brand is all about you. The business brand is about the business, and that's a collective. So say, for example, with myself, Dragonfly Marketing is my business brand. Jane Hilsden is my personal brand. And
yes.
Obviously, in my case, the two interlink, and hopefully I've built branding for both of those, both personal and business, so that there's some, some links and some connections that when people think Jane Hilsden, they think Dragonfly, or when they think Dragonfly, they think Jane Hilsden. Yep. But just two completely different things. So then, yeah, I imagine that there's some listeners that are listening to this, and as small business owners, or even they might not even be the owner of the small business, but they might just be a key player within the business.
Yeah.
And they might be thinking, yeah, that's not for me. The whole personal branding thing, the whole getting out there and putting yourself in front of the camera. And, some people might see it as shameless self-promoting, and the introverts among the listeners might be going, I feel horrified and disgusted at the thought of getting a personal brand out there. But why? I mean, and I think you touched on this before, but it would be great to elaborate. Why is it important for small business owners or key players within small business to focus on their personal brand? What are some of the benefits that a small business might gain from building personal brands within the business brand?
Well, look, the thing is, although I said before the business brand can have a personality, you still can't connect with a business in the same way that you connect with a person. Yes. You're not going to have that same, rapport, interaction. You might know people, but generally when you kind of work with another business, it's that key contact person that you have, or it's like with your business. And the reason that people love working with you, Jane, is because you've infused your brand with your personal brand. And so that's what I tell people. It's like, you work on your personal brand and you infuse the business. And so because you know your brand so well, you tell them, here's the key, we have like a messaging guide, a key messaging guide, or a tone of voice, as you would with a brand. Yeah. Well, you can put parts of yourself into that without having to give all of yourself. And the problem that I find with a lot of people who are small business owners, or even who work within a business, they give their all to that business. They basically let them become interlocked and intertwined. And so that if you ever did want to step away from that business, it's so you that you can't hand it over. You can't stop it because it's just gone. Yes. And then you want to go on to something else. Well, then you've got to build yourself, build that again.
Yes.
And, I used to run this business, and people always then talk in the past, I used to do this. I once was that. I was, but it's you're still, that's all part of you. All those things are part of you, but they don't know how to talk about themselves because they always put it into the business. So that value of putting the work into your brand and knowing it so clearly is that you can infuse the business, and you can help your staff take on those traits, but still, encourage them to have their own character. So that they too don't get lost in the business. And then if they ever want to move on, do their own thing, that they're not just, I knew that business really well and I knew that brand really well. I've got to start from scratch.
Yeah. So, I love that description. I love the description of infuse, because I know from working with small businesses, even if we look at things like the values of a small business, the values of the business owner are generally the values that drive a small business. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't help that because you started the business. It has so much of your personality because, at some stage it was just you that was running that business. So much of you is infused. And I guess what you're saying is that if you're not careful, your identity becomes completely interlocked into that business, which is fine if you want to do that for the rest of your life and that's your plan. But if you feel like you're going to have other identities and feel like at some stage you might actually move away or want to sell your business brand as a separate entity, be careful as to how much of you is infused and interlocked. How much of your personal brand is interlocked with that business brand, because you might find that business brand does not exist without your personal brand.
Without you. And I had a client who, I was talking to him and he sort of thought, oh, I don't need this. He was the CEO of a company, and he said, oh, I don't really need all that, because he was thinking about it in the shameless self-promotion. He's like, I don't want to be on the stage. I don't want to be like having this bad Instagram account and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And he said, oh, sort of the problem for me is that, my business, people know me so well. I do all the business deals. People call the company, but they want him.
Yes.
And he actually sold the business, and he's actually, when he sold it, had to sell it with himself included.
Yes.
He had to sign a contract that he was going to be still involved for, I think, 2 years or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I said, do you see that that's actually a liability? Like, your staff you can give them, infuse them with, and train them to be, I guess, like you, and to use some of the characteristics of you, and that, the way you connect with people, because he does have this beautiful way of connecting, but without it having to be you. And so now he's locked in to this thing.
Yeah.
And I said, the brand, the business, because you've done so well at growing the business, it's all on you.
Yeah.
And the business doesn't have a brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without him in it, the business is brandless. And that's quite confronting, because, look, I'll be honest, and I know my business is at that stage. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know my business is about me, and I know people buy me within that business. And this is a journey that, yes, I've built up that personal brand, but but for Dragonfly, it is more about Jane Hilsden than it is about Dragonfly. And I've got to say, and I'm sure some of the listeners will agree with me, it's scary thinking about, how do I separate and how do I trust? Do you know what I mean? Like, how can I actually infuse other people? Like, how do I put me on paper? How do I knowledge share me? Like, which bits of me do I leave in, and which bits is everyone going, can you please not include those in the business brand? They're not doing us any favors, because then that takes a lot of kind of self-reflection and, looking inwards and going, okay, so what is it about me what it is about my personal brand that they're buying into? And then, okay, so it's, this and this. How do I actually teach that? How do I actually put that in a process? How do I make sure that someone else can be that person? So if someone buys into the business and wants to get the same level of service that they would expect to get from me, how does that happen? Like, it would be quite scary. I can understand why people would be hesitant about that. Do you find that a lot?
Look, I think it's for people. It depends where they're at the stage of. A lot of the clients I have don't even want to put themselves out there at all, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
And they don't realise that actually they already have been, and that they already are connected. So I had one client. I'll use an example where she's a lawyer, and she had her, wanted to attract more business, wanted to grow the business slightly, and wanted to put the business out there a bit more. Now, when I went to her website and looked at it, it was it was in between. She's a small business, but she's trying to be that lawyer, big business.
Right.
Trying to show, the big team.
Yes. Okay.
Which wasn't true. The value actually of working with her is that you do get to work with a small team. You do get personalised service.
Right.
That's something that always has to be her, but it's personal.
Yes.
But none of her personality, none of her essence was on the site at all. It was white. It was very clinical. It was very clunky. And it's like, when you actually meet her, she's very kind, very warm, very helpful. And if you're looking for a lawyer, especially so it was a family lawyer, I want somebody who's going to help me and support me through a difficult time.
Yeah.
And so we did some simple things, which was like to ask her to get to know, and I knew her already, so we'd already done some work together, take some of her personality and her traits and put that into the site, but also to highlight who she was separately.
Yes.
This is about her, the director, make it very clear she's the director.
Yes.
But, and you'll be working with her, but, it's very easy then to build in, here's our team. So
yes,
she's the director. Now we have ex-lawyer and blah, blah, and our wonderful office lady who,
yes,
you can introduce them.
Yes.
But they're still going to have that vibe of her.
Yes.
And the best feedback I got, and I know we'll probably get to a bit later, but she got the feedback. Somebody overheard her talking and said, you're a lawyer lady. I saw your website. It's wonderful. And it's just like you.
Yes.
And somebody else came into her office after booking and they said, it's so nice to meet you. And yeah, you're just like I thought you'd be.
Yes, and isn't that refreshing? Because if we think about the journey that people need to take to go from awareness of a brand or a person to conversion, they have to go through a process of getting to know you, getting to like you, getting to trust you before they will actually buy from you. So the fact that that website was demonstrating so much of, the values and the type of person that they could expect to deal with, they were actually going through that process just by looking through the website. I'm getting to know her. I'm getting to like her because, she's injected little bits of personality or different colours or images or, the values of the business. And so then the trust begins to build. And as you rightly pointed out, when you're actually, procuring the services of a lawyer, lawyers, have a reputation for being really intimidating. So the last thing you want to do is go to an intimidating website that actually gives you no clue of the type of person that you will deal with. Because I think particularly females and definitely males as well, they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're going to feel like an idiot or feel like that they can't ask questions or that they don't feel comfortable dealing with someone. So it's in that kind of intimate relationship, it's more important to have that personal brand shine through. And as you said before, her personal brand was on the other site, but it wasn't the personal brand that she wanted to
no, it wasn't coming through. There wasn't the alignment,
So it was the wrong personal brand.
Yeah, it was showing, and that was sort of an older school approach. I'm sure you've come from that too, where it was, I need to name my business. I need to have, and we need to look as big as we are. I mean, even I used to talk as we do this and we do that. But the thing is, when you come to Lovelly Communications, you're working with me.
Yes.
And yes, we can grow, I can grow and I can have other people. But the reason that people come to it is to work with me and to get that lovely experience. I'm in branding. That's what I do. Branded myself very well. But that's okay because, and I made the decision, I'm never going to get to the point where I'm going to sell. If I stop the business, I will walk away from the business.
Yes.
So then why am I not showing me?
Yes.
Why am I not talking as I will do this and I am here for you and, only we will work together, that sort of language as opposed to, and someone said once, you wee all over your copy. If you use we, you're weeing all over your copy. So it's deciding what your goals are. And I think people don't really do that. It's just like, I'm starting a business or I'm working in a business. So it's got to be bigger than Ben-Hur. It's got to be an empire and I'm going to grow it. And it's like, you can grow, but you still got to have, like, let's be honest at the start, the way you're communicating, people want to connect with people. As I just keep saying, people want to connect with people. So connect as people and let them see your team. If you have a team, let them have a little bit of a voice. That's what people enjoy. Trying to make yourself this big, shiny corporate.
Faceless corporate.
It's not going to work. And what you asked before was really valid as well in terms of like, how do you take yourself without, I guess, giving all yourself? And that's just the same way you would with a brand, a business brand. You write a guide. And so you take, well, what's my tone of voice? My tone of voice is warm. My tone of voice is energetic. It's passionate. Then what's your key words? Choose some key words. How do we speak? Who is our target market? So how are we going to speak to them? and you have that guide, but you're just putting the lens of yourself on it. So
yeah. Such a good idea. Do you know what? I'd never even thought about doing that on myself, and I think that would lay that out very clearly. And like for me, if I did that on myself, I would go, okay, this is who I need to recruit. Do you know what I mean? So
yep.
This is my tone of voice, and these are the couple of key words that would describe me, and you know, maybe key messages and that sort of stuff. And that would give you a really good idea of the type of person that you're looking to recruit. Because so I'm a very high energy kind of, you know, I guess a bit of a vibrant personality. And I think that's what people buy into for me. So it doesn't, I guess, make sense. And I have made this mistake in the past, is when you know, recruit somebody who's the complete opposite of that. That's not what clients have bought into. And it's not to say that the complete opposite personality is wrong. It's not. It's just that they've bought in because they wanted this energetic level, you know, and so if they're not going to get that, well, then there's a disconnect. So, yeah. I get
and
that.
It's different to your skills and that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
People, you know, you have different personalities that will help make up a business. You know, I need somebody in the back end who's a bit more organized and detail oriented and things like that.
Me
but
too.
they can be like that, but they can still be somebody who has that, maybe that little bit of bubbliness, you know, because that's what goes with me.
Yeah.
You know, or if they are the back end person, maybe, and they aren't as on the same level, then maybe they're just, that we don't put them out there as much if that's not what they want.
Yeah. And they probably don't want that anyway, if they're not, you know, if you're not a really vivacious, bubbly personality, you know, sometimes you're not actually interested in being that person either, so they're not going to worry. Yeah, that's right.
Whereas I need those people who are going to be lovely. And look, I ran a pet sitting business, so another example where I actually started it with another girl, and we made the mistake of talking about it as Alison and Emma. We had a brand name, but we would say all of the copy was talking about Alison and Emma, and a lot of the imagery was around us with the pets. So then when we got inquiries, it was, I want Alison or I want Emma. When actually our model was to have a team of sitters. And we did have that, but it became so secondary because we were so prominent.
Yes.
And so we ended up not continuing the business together. We went separate ways, and I started Lovely Pet Sitters. And when I started it, from day one, it was very clear that it's the team that is, you know, with Emma as the head pet sitter.
Yeah.
So I could still talk the way I talk and give that lovely vibe.
Yeah.
But you knew that all of the sitters were going to have that lovely vibe.
Yes.
And I was very clear to them when I onboarded them.
Yeah.
This is what I expect of you. I put up photos, you will put up photos. Like, we will, you know, I communicate with my clients that way. I send them photos, I send them updates, I check in with them. You will do that. And if you can't, that's fine, but you're not the one for my team. Because I want them to have the lovely experience. So it was very interesting though. Like, I was like, oh, okay. So I can talk about Emma in the business.
Yes.
But it can't be all, and it can't be so at the front. It's the late, you know, it was guided by Emma, or as led by Emma, or you know, headed by, or whatever. So that's the way that you bring in the other people.
Yes, so very subtle use of copy to be able to set expectations, and that's really what it's about, is setting that expectation. So how might a personal brand, then let's again take the example of a small business owner, how might a personal brand either positively or negatively influence their business brand?
Well, so like negatively, you know, the first, it's pretty interesting actually. Yeah, sometimes I used to do these treks with people, and even people and we do them with charities. And so sometimes people love these charities, you know, they've raised money for these charities, thousands of dollars, and they've gone on these trips. Well, then the charities would sometimes send a representative, and that representative, although it wasn't their business, though sometimes it was somebody who was very high up, or even, the founder would come. And unfortunately, their personal brand wasn't really aligned with the charity, or their personal conduct didn't fit the values of the charity.
Wow.
And it left a really bad taste in the mouth of those people who were on the trip. You know, they've done all this work, they've dedicated this charity, they've maybe supported that charity for a number of years. And then the person that they've chosen to represent and to be, they're the figurehead on that trip, has not been aligned with the brand.
Wow.
And it's actually created distrust. It's created disconnection. They might have lost that supporter forever. So now that's, you know, charities are big, different sort of things, but it's the same thing. If you create this brand and you're like, oh, my brand is this and this and this and this and this, and then you show up and you don't, and you aren't that, it instantly creates a disconnection, a distrust, and, you know, sort of a confusion. You're like,
hang on a second. I thought that this was this, and this. That is a really, really great example. And I think too serves as a really great reminder for businesses to be mindful about who they're putting out to front face their business, who they're putting out as their community ambassador, you know, who they're putting out. Like, I often talk with a lot of small businesses about, you know, you can be spending $30,000 a month or a year. No, small business doesn't spend that. So let's call it, you know, $100,000 a year, for example, if you're going hard with your marketing and you're, you know, you're spending that and you're getting behind it and the marketing's going great guns. But if the marketing really works and then drives a lot of people to your front door, but your customer service person or your salespeople or, you know, the advisors within your business or the, you know, the shop assistants or whatever are not living up to what the marketing is actually out there promising, you've just wasted that $100,000.
Yep.
Gone.
Yep.
Gone.
And you just said it. A brand is a promise.
Yeah.
The personal brand or a business brand, it's a promise. You're saying, and I think I've got a quote right here about it. Your personal brand is a promise to your clients, a promise of quality, consistency, competency, and reliability. And so when what you're showing them, you know, they've expected that. Yeah. And so that's, I talk to my clients a lot about their consistency. Yes. And so when you're choosing, and although we don't create our personal brand, I say that people reconnect with themselves and then they're showing their true brand. So the more authentic you are to yourself, the more true you are to who you really are, not creating this persona, creating this identity, then that's going to be easier to maintain. You can be consistent when you're really being yourself. But if you created this identity, this persona, this, you know, I always wear black and white and I always pose like this and I always talk like that and I, you know, I'm putting on this sort of fake character every time I meet people, well, that's going to fall off at some point. Yeah. And that's going to get, you know, it's going to be really tiring. It's really tiring. Yeah. And
someone will figure you out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you and I both had an experience recently when we saw a presentation, we saw a workshop with the presenter and was like, wow, cool. And we both wanted to connect. Yes. And then when we actually did connect, even in message tone, and then when I actually had the phone call, it wasn't the same. The photos that I'd seen, the presentation that I'd seen then, the messaging tone that I'd received, and then the voice call, it wasn't aligned. And each interaction, I got further and further away from that image I had of this person. Yeah. So you sort of like,
you left with a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah. And look, I think that's a couple of really great examples of the way that a personal brand can impact a business brand, and one that I think a lot of people may not have necessarily thought through. And it's not just the business owner. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just the business owner. It's anyone that's actually front facing the business brand needs to be really aware of that. That's really interesting. Here's a curly one that wasn't on the questions, but just in terms of when you were talking about authenticity and, you know, it's important to be yourself. What happens if someone's an asshole? What happens then? What do you do there?
I was literally thinking that before, you know, it's funny, it wasn't going to use that word specifically, but, and look, authentic gets thrown around a lot, and probably the more somebody's using the word authentic could be the further they're getting from the true meaning of that word. But it's, you know, I believe in the principles of Dale Carnegie. It's one of my top books to recommend, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I believe you should always practice those basic principles of being polite, being interested in people, smiling goes a long way, that sort of stuff. But however, not everyone is going to be your friend, and not everyone is going to be your audience. And so when we're talking about creating personal brand, mine happens to be Lovely. You don't have to be lovely. You can be considerate. You could be practical. You could be pragmatic. You could be direct. Some people love people who are direct and forthright and want to work with that. And when we talked about that lawyer example before, some people don't want somebody who's going to feel like a friend and feel like a warm hug. Some people want a shark. They want someone who's going to cut throat and win them the money, and they look very polished, and they're that sort of, what's that, Suits kind of Harvey character. Some people want that, and that's fine. Yeah. But that is, Harvey is Harvey. He's authentically him. You get what you see. Yeah. And that's what you want. So no matter, figure out who you are. Yes. Figure out who you want to be around and who you want to attract, and be that. Yeah. I mean, try not to be an arsehole, because nobody likes that.
And I was going to say,
likes that.
As someone who's very direct and forthright, I'm not linking arsehole and direct and forthright. I think they're two completely different things. But, there are some people who might be arrogant, or they might be...
Gordon Ramsay. He's made his brand is to be this guy.
True. Yeah. So it's just, that's true. That's true. So you work with the,
he's committed to
qualities. It. Yeah. True. You love him or you hate him is polarizing, but that's, when Seth Godin would give you a round of applause and say, you've done the right job, you've done the right thing. If people don't like you, you're actually doing a good job of creating a brand. Yeah.
Exactly. So not everybody has to like you, but it has to be true to you. Yes. And once you can move past that, because I think people get that fear of then, if I show who I really am, no one will like me. Well, no, that's not true. We already have evidence that you have people who like you. Yes. Business isn't necessarily about people liking, being the best friend anyway.
That's right.
But it is nice to have a connection.
Yes.
It's imperative to have a connection.
Yeah.
And if you think back to any of the best business relationships you've had, or best clients you've had, or the best work you've done, it's probably because you've had a really good connection with the team, with the brand, with someone. Yeah. And that's why it's worked well, because it's fit, it's aligned. Yeah. It's been in line with your values.
Yes.
And that's, the more true you are to you, and the more clear you are in presenting what you want, who you are, where you're going, you're going to attract the work and the people that you want in your life.
Yeah. Great answer. Yeah, fantastic. So what happens with the business owner who goes, listening to this conversation, I don't even know whether we really have a business brand. Yes, we might have a logo, and we've, put out a few print ads and things, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a brand. And, oh my goodness, I have a personal brand, but it's not the one it's not the one I think that's probably the best personal brand for me. If they're looking to build their business brand and their personal brand, do they do them kind of, synchronously, oh God, I can't say that word this morning, synchronistically, or should they prioritize one over the other? Like, is one more important than the other, or can one, like, if you prioritize one first, then can you leverage the other one, more successfully, or how should they balance that?
Look, I think you can do both. You can totally work on both at the same time. You just need to be clear. Both of them need a mission, a vision, a goal. Both of them need to have, you need to go through those steps for each of them and be very clear. It's anything. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? That's where I take my clients from. I want to take them on a journey. So, if you feel like it's too big a piece of work, it's like anything. What's going to move me forward the fastest?
Yeah.
If you've already got a team of people ready to go, trying to do the work, okay, maybe we need to put a bit of work into the business brand.
Yeah.
However, for me, I probably would lean towards the personal brand, because, I try to dissuade sometimes my clients from going, and probably taking them away from you, but going and setting up this big fancy website and this big logo and things like that. If they don't know what they're saying, If you haven't done that piece of work, you're really just throwing things at the wall and hoping it sticks. So whereas it might be better to go, okay, well, I'm going to work a little bit on who I am. I'm going to reach out to those people that I really want to work with. I'm going to be very clear about what I want to offer, and start doing the work.
Yeah.
And you're doing the work and you're working with people, and then you go, okay, that's the sort of people we want to work with. Let's put that into the brand.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and then that becomes clearer and clearer.
Yes.
And then you go, well, that's what's going to go into the business brand, and you do that piece of work.
Yeah.
But I say to people, you're never going to lose the investment in your working on yourself. You are never going to lose.
No.
Because it's going to be with you forever.
Forever.
But you see people go, we're doing a rebrand. We're doing a rebrand. We're doing a rebrand. And you're like, but what are you trying to, like, why? What are you trying to say?
Yeah. What's that achieving?
Yeah. Where are you trying to go?
And I think, for most, if brands are working, or if businesses are working with most marketers, they'll take them through a process that will help guide them in terms of the content to put on the website. And they'll take them through the process of, as a business, who is it that you want to work, who is your ideal client? What is it that you're trying to achieve? But the small business owner is probably going to have the hat of business owner, business brand. But I guess what you're saying is think about how you're showing up in that business and on that website as part of that holistic picture and part of that holistic story, particularly in professional services where you do need to build that relationship. And that's going to be a very important component of the brand. And that's actually a perfect segue into the next question, which is, what are the key ingredients of a personal brand? So if someone wants to go out and create this for themselves, what must they have as part of their toolbox or their suite?
Yeah, for sure. Like just what you were saying before, it's like, it's interesting. I just have a client who's sort of working on that, the business versus the personal at the moment. Sometimes with that, and it kind of leads into this question too, but like, people just don't literally say what they're doing. They don't literally say, I am at this or I am working on that. They just assume that people know.
Yeah.
Like, and some of our closest friends don't know what we do for work.
True. Yeah.
But they know who we are and they love us. I have people who recommend me all the time. They're like, oh, Emma's fantastic. She's so great. I think she works like in this and that, but she'd be great for you. They don't know specifically what I do, but they recommend me.
Yes.
Because of they get what I'm about, I guess.
Yes.
The person that I am.
Yes.
They know that I'll do the work, that I'll do a great job. Whether I have the skill set or not, they don't really seem to care.
Minor details.
Vaguely in the marketing-y space. I saw her working at a desk once. I think she's,
she's in marketing.
But that's the thing. And so sometimes people don't even know that you've moved on from a company or that you're starting out on something new. And you see, I just get them to do some simple exercise of, can you please just go on LinkedIn and write, I've started a business, or I am now running my own show and this is what it's about and these are the people I want to work with. And they get this flood of love and this flood of replies and good for you and, oh, that's so perfect for you and I'll tell people about you. And it's like, you literally, I had put up a quote the other week and people like really responded to it. It's like, I sort of in a quote, it's my words, if you're not talking about you, then who will?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you can't just expect people to know if you haven't told them. It's just being informative.
Yes.
So simply going out there and saying, changing your LinkedIn status to what you're actually currently doing, writing a couple of posts that say, here I am, this is what I'm about, I'd love to work with you, email me.
Yeah.
Could actually go so much further than you spending thousands of dollars on a logo and a website with these schmick fancy words that people don't even get.
Yeah.
To attract business. When it's actually like, hey, you know me, I do this, I'd love to work with you.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of power.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
But the questions that I sort of get my clients to explore when we're talking about your personal brand, it's a big one. Open up with, who are you?
Yes. Yes.
Just create an existential crisis on the first meeting. But, I say, don't worry, we'll work through it. But who are you? What makes you unique?
Okay.
What's your vision?
Yes.
For your personal brand? What's your vision for your life or for where you want to go? Again, some big questions, but people don't think about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having somebody to like talk to about it and think about it can help.
Yes.
What's your goal with your personal branding? Like, why are you doing this work? Why did you think this was an issue? Why are you coming to me? If you don't
Yes.
think it's important, you're not going to do the work,
Yes.
then we're done.
Yeah.
What are your professional goals? Like, what do you want from your business, or what do you want out of a career? Like, do you want to have 100 clients, or speak to the masses, or do you want to work with 5 really awesome clients a month?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
totally changes the direction of what you're trying to put out there.
That's right. Yeah.
Who's your audience? How can you help?
Yeah.
What makes you different? What's your X factor? We don't necessarily have to have an X factor. I believe the combination of your wonderful life and the many things that make up you is your X factor. But that's some work we're going to dig into. What makes you reliable, trustworthy, and how do you prove it? And they're all these things that a brand has to go through, as a business brand must go through as well.
Yeah.
But we don't think to apply those questions to ourselves.
No, that's great. And yeah, like I've just been scribbling those down as you speak. And yeah, if I look at that, that's a very, very like almost completely identical process to kind of what you would go through as a business brand. And I bet you there's a lot of people sitting there going, a lot of people who may have sat there and answered these questions about the business, but so much of that would be a reflection of them. Some would and some wouldn't. It depends how many people you've got in the business and how many stakeholders influence that piece. But so if we looked at, who you are, what makes you different, your vision, your personal goals and your professional goals, who is it that you want to, to work with, who's your target audience, what's your X factor, what makes you reliable, what makes you trustworthy, and then how do you prove it? So they're the key ingredients. And yeah, very, very similar to a business brand. But yes, how many of us have actually turned those questions on ourselves to build up our personal brand? And it's not just the business owner here, and I think I've mentioned this already, but it's not just the business owner too. This could be something that the whole organisation goes through, really, couldn't it?
Yeah, and also individuals within the organisation. So I can work with people who are in corporate jobs. It's a little bit harder sometimes to show who you are.
Yeah.
And that's a cultural thing, unfortunately, with corporate. But then there are the people who you've been in an organisation and they have stood out because they've been so true to themselves.
Yeah.
They are attracted. They've been given roles or been, risen up through the ladder because they've been so clear about who they are. What they're about. They don't just sort of, I don't know. It's like, oh, I'm a lawyer, so I've got to look like a lawyer. I'm an accountant, so I've got to look like an accountant. I'm a marketer, so I've got to act like a marketer.
Yeah.
Well, no, you have qualifications that meet that job description, but you're actually a person. And culture is such a huge part of a company.
Yeah.
If we let people be who they are more and to bring that to the party, and they're working their truest sort of alignment, they're going to do better in their job as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's where LinkedIn comes in, because, you might be working as part of Westpac or, some of the bigger brands. But your LinkedIn profile, that's somewhere that you own that space, that's you, and you can be that ambassador for Westpac. And if Westpac are smart enough, and this is where Lucy Bingle really comes into her own. Lucy, we've interviewed on the podcast before, but she works with those large corporate organisations to help bring the personal brands of their employees out via LinkedIn, because that's the perfect avenue to do that. So, there's no reason why people working in corporate can't own their personal brand, because, as you said before, it's highly unlikely that someone's going to be working with Westpac for the whole of their career. They can build a personal brand and really ambassador, the work that they do with Westpac, and then they can take that in their own profile on LinkedIn and, go and work for Combank or, or a not-for-profit or, whatever, and still have the values and the person that they are. Okay, excellent. What about the visual element to personal branding? So how important is that visual element of, professional videos and photos and those sorts of stuff? Do people, is this a good investment for people?
not at the start. So
Right.
some people go out and, if you don't have anything, please go and get yourself a photo.
Yeah.
But do a quick little evaluation of what you're trying to show in the photo.
Right.
And like we're actually going to I'm working with photographers soon to do this because we're partnering where I'm going to do their personal brand, like a profile for them. And then they're going to go into the photo shoot. Because so many people, we get these like very stilted headshots, or I'm going to show that I'm fun, so I'm going to do this bright, colourful thing. But it's like, why did you want to show you were fun? Why did you why did you think you needed that arms crossed, stern look photo?
Yeah.
You can have, I just want your photo to look like you. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. So get a photographer who does like, I had to say, I want to look like me, but better. just a bit polished, but I want someone to meet me in the street and be like, oh yeah, I saw your photo. Like, I know who you are.
Yes.
That's the only prerequisite I have for photos. But if you could do a little bit of work on your brand first and understand what you're trying to show, that's better than, that's people, the first thing they do, they're like, I'm starting a business, I'm going to get a logo. Yeah. Or I'm starting a business, I'm going to make up some catchy tagline words and I'm going out on my own. I need this logo and this colours palette and all this stuff to represent me. You can spend thousands on that.
Great comparison. Yeah.
Actually just start writing, I'm doing this.
Yes.
Or email your contacts.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is what I'm up to. I'd love it if you could give me a testimonial.
Yeah.
Testimonials would do so much more for you in terms of talking about who you are.
Interesting.
Than spending all this money on the look. By all means, once you've done a little bit of that work and you're quite clear about what you want to come across as, photos and videos can be great because again, they allow people to connect with you and to see you. So there's nothing worse than you go to connect with somebody and they don't even have a photo. Yeah. And you're like, who are, or people do a call and they turn their video off and you're like, I don't know, I can't see you.
Who am I talking to?
Like, you don't turn up to a meeting with a mask on,
Yeah.
Well, actually you do at the moment.
Probably do. Yeah.
Just for your nose. But, you don't, we connect through seeing one another. So just try any imagery you have, make it as true to you and as realistic in real life. I know we want to look like our best selves, but look like the best current you. And if your photos from 15 years ago, please go and get a new one. Nothing, worse than somebody. I know you looked great in that photo and it was a professional headshot. Yeah. But we don't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah. Own who you are at the moment. That's a really good comparison. I like how you compared that to, starting up a business and the first thing someone does is go and get a logo before they even work out what they're going to sell sometimes. And that doesn't make sense. The order of that doesn't make sense. So you're saying have the photo, definitely have it there. But before you go and invest in the big bang with all the bells and whistles, really work out, your brand brief, I guess. So just as you would brief a graphic designer, you would brief your photographer to go, this is what we're looking for. This is the type of people we're looking to appeal to. This is the look. This is the tone. This is the feel. And by the way, no mugshots against a plain white wall. Thank you.
And like you as a marketing professional, and like for a graphic designer or someone, it's an absolute headache for somebody to come to you and go, oh, I want a really awesome logo. Cool. What are you trying to show? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or I know when I'll see it. And you present all this stuff and then they go, no, I don't like that.
No.
It's not what I want.
Worst nightmare. That is every designer and every photographer's and every videographer's worst nightmare. People never ever
please
turn
don't
up
do that
with
to
that.
them.
No, that's
so
right.
They probably might have a briefing guide for you and they'll probably ask you some of these questions and make you think about that. And even simple things like I ask people, what's your favorite color? Or what's your spirit animal? And I don't do it so that I can make them dress up like a lion and wear blue. I do it because those colors and the subconsciously they represent something. So out of that, I'll go, okay, well, blue actually signifies loyalty. It's a stability. It's calm. That's probably why you like blue. So let's show that. And then lion. Okay, well, you're very proud. You like being in the spotlight. You maybe have magnificent hair. So let's show that off. Why,
Interesting. Yes.
you're a leader. So those, that if people can't say upfront some words about themselves or describe themselves, perhaps there's another way to get to it. So
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah, good question. What's my spirit animal? I would have no idea. Okay, so what if someone's going, yes, all about the personal brand, but they're an introvert and they don't like the idea of getting themselves out there? They're agreeing with you and thinking, yes, this is something I need to do, but the thought gives me shivers and goosebumps and makes me feel sick. Do you have some advice as to how to best encourage people to kind of move past that or work with it to get themselves out there a bit more?
Yeah, well, look, I'm a shameless self-promoter. I love it. I'm happy to talk about myself till the cows come home, but you also just don't have to do that in a showy way. And people don't have to. I'm not trying to make you into the next Instagram influencer. That's not what we're trying to do. What you do put out there is true of you. So, and when I talked about before, it's like, when we're doing that work on our personal brand, it's gaining confidence in talking about ourselves and about being who we are. So that's for meetings, that's for phone calls, that's for emails, that's for how you write your resume, it's for how you write your LinkedIn profile. I do strongly recommend people have a LinkedIn profile. I don't advise my clients to go and get a website. I really don't. I say, if you don't need it, why do you want a website? Tell me.
What, like a personal website?
They could have a personal website or create a brand under their own name. Some people do that and work under their own name and want to showcase their work.
Yeah.
And they think that's what they need. But I'm like, please don't go and spend thousands of dollars and, again, do a website developer's head in with it not knowing what you want, when actually the way you might connect better is on email or in meetings but having a LinkedIn presence, having some form of online presence is kind of essential these days.
Yeah.
If I Google you and I can't find anything about you, it's pretty disappointing.
You don't exist. Yep.
Yeah. So, and LinkedIn ranks really highly too.
Yeah.
So if you were to search someone's name, probably LinkedIn's going to come up top. So that's my number 100%. One if someone's coming from a professional angle. Yeah. So it's just representing yourself truly. And I think once they've done a little bit of confidence building work and understanding that they do already have a brand and that maybe it's just not coming across the way they'd like, they do kind of go, okay, I understand, I've got to put a few things out there. But again, you don't have to do it like I do this and I do that and I'm over here. I love working with people. Yeah. Well, I love doing this, and the reason I'm doing this is I work in this business, and then you can talk about the business. But it's like, don't just talk about the business and they're doing this and they're doing that. It's like, say what your involvement is.
Yeah.
A quick line, I am doing this, or I love, or I help people buy. It's just put a bit of I and me into what you're sharing.
Yeah.
Own a little bit of what you're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then that's, that still can be collaborative and that can still be lovely, but also just saying, no, but I had a part in it, and I am a really good person to work with, and here's a true image of me. This is what I do.
Yeah.
It's just informative when you take it to that. So even for an introvert, you're just informing people, providing them with information about who you are.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And, I'm an extrovert, so I can't necessarily relate, but I can imagine that would be comforting to hear, that you don't actually have to go out and start, playing the brass band with your brand. You just need to be aware that you've got a personal brand and the way that you show up at every touch point. And that's not necessarily by, having the big fandangle website and a social media account for your name in every single channel. It's just being aware that you're already creating these brand experiences with people, making sure that they're consistent, and just being aware that, this is going to have some sort of a reflection on your business, your career, and your business. So, I think that's great. That's great to know. Where do people start? So if people are going to, walk away from this podcast and say, yep, I'm going to really start getting my head into this, what's the first thing they need to do?
Do a little brand audit on yourself. So, have you ever Googled yourself? I think a lot of people, I mean, I do love it. But,
Every day for you.
I've got it's funny, actually. I have a Google search on my name, and there's a lady who did the Flyby Baby thing. She was on Shark Tank. Her name's Emma Lovell. And so she was, one time she was tagged in Business Chicks, and I said, oh, you always come up in my email because the Google search picks you up. And she's like, I didn't even know that. I was like, have you not even Googled yourself? Like, you're killing it on the Emma Lovell ranks. So it's just interesting to see where you land, see what images are out there of you. I mean, you might do a search and figure out that you're still listed on your old company's website that you shouldn't even be on. Or this photo from 1982 has somehow popped up onto the interwebs. But, so do that and go, okay, what social media channels am I on? Am I on any? Do I come up at all? What are people saying about me? Do I have any testimonials or recommendations where people have asked, or said something about me? What's my, if it is a CV, what's my CV say? How is my tone in, how do I come across? And that might even be a little bit of an evaluation. Ask some friends. Like, I do a 3 words thing. Write down 3 words about yourself, and then ask people to write 3 words about you. And see how much, see where they match
interesting. Oh, gosh, that's interesting. I'm going to try that with my mastermind. Yes, that is such an interesting one.
To see, what the perception is, and hopefully they're aligned, but sometimes they're massively, and we're probably sometimes a little bit self-depreciating and won't use as much positive language. And then you ask people and they actually have some really wonderful things to say about you. So just doing a bit of audit. How am I currently coming across? Am I doing enough? Then maybe find somebody that you think's doing a good job of it and use them as your, I guess, somebody like, okay,
place to go.
I could do a little bit more like them. And it's really nice. Some of my clients say that. They're like, oh, I see the way you put out the messages. I want to do like that. Or how do I write it that way? Or how could I do that sort of thing? And I say, let's work on that together.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's a really, really practical first step. Measurement's always a bit tricky with these sorts of things because it's a little bit softer. Do you have any kind of metrics or measurements that you look at? So if someone starts their personal branding and 12 months later wants to kind of see where they've got to with that, do you have metrics or measurements that you wrap around that?
Look, I do it's probably a bit more touchy-feely. I probably do more of a how do they feel, so how do they come to me and how do they go away. But certainly, like, how much more are they putting out there? Even their language changes, the fact that they are saying I am, that they are, LinkedIn's a great one, like even my own profile views have gone up a lot. I got a private message recently saying your LinkedIn game's really strong, like loving it. So actually getting feedback from people going, oh, I've noticed you're doing more. It's lovely to see what you're doing. Or, oh, I didn't realize you did that. People sort of giving actually.
So it's like anecdotal
direct messages.
Yep.
I mean, if you do end up having a website, you might get more leads there. You might get more social media, Instagram or Twitter, you might get more followers. It's not a big thing, but I'd probably want more engagement. So if your posts were getting more engagement, I'd be happier with that. By engagement, I mean liking things, replying to things, commenting, sending you a private message. And I mean, ultimately, the biggest win would be for them to get clients. And clients that they like working with 100%. And I guess another one that they could throw in there too maybe is if you did do that Google audit to start off with and in 12 months time did that again to see do those search results change and are they on message, like now that you've actually gone through the process, is that painting the picture that you've set out to paint? So even personally, like I'm now being invited to be on podcasts, and so you might be you would end up on other people's websites for that reason, or go into be asked to be featured in an article, be interviewed, and that's sort of those opportunities come about, and they're great third party endorsements. So it's not, you don't have to be going, I do this and I do, like, it's Jane saying, I've got this professional, Emma, or let's get this professional to be mentioned in our article. And you can put your hand up for those sorts of things. You can definitely say to somebody, I'd like to be there without, but it's putting yourself forward.
Yes.
And that's part of that work is the confidence piece. So people just getting the confidence to go, I do have something to say. I do want to reach out to more people, and again, go on the informative. You're here to help people. You're here to service people. You're here to inform them. If you're not telling them, well, they don't know that you're there to help.
That's right. Awesome. So much insight, Em. I love it. And you do this for a living, which is the wonderful thing for everybody to know. You help people build their personal brand. Can you share a little bit about how you do help small business owners build their personal brand?
Yeah, 100%. So predominantly I'm working with people in my program. So I have a 3-month program. And like I said, a lot of it is confidence building. We gain clarity through doing the brand audit. We build confidence through creating a key messaging guide for them, that this is this wonderful resource that they can keep coming back to, and work on that together. Yeah. And then there's a coaching element. So to build those connections. So I've got all these great messages. I know who I am. How do I use it? And that's sharing with them, those opportunities. Where can I put things? Asking questions. It's the support. Yeah. So I'm there as their little personal brand cheerleader, helping them to build up that confidence and the consistency of putting themselves out there a bit more.
Yeah. And I think too, it helps, particularly when we're looking at ourselves and when we are the subject of our inquiry and our curiosity, as well as what we decide to put out there and what we decide not to. It helps to actually have a third party perspective. Mm-hmm. It actually helps to have someone that's not emotionally connected to you. I know for myself, I would sit there and self-analyze, the crap out of myself and end up not, or like probably be a bit self-deprecating or maybe value stuff that actually people don't find that valuable. So it's actually really useful, I think, to have somebody else look at that and go, yeah, actually, I think this is actually your strength. You might be surprised.
It's hard. It is hard to do this work on our own.
Yeah.
By all means, I can help people with those sort of, and I've got some sort of workshops and small things where people could take away some of those pieces and very much do the work. But it does take that, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a colleague that you need to bounce off. And that's what I am for my clients is being there with them to do that work, to keep asking those questions, to keep digging, to find, and I said, it's to find yourself again, to reconnect, to look at yourself the way maybe you haven't looked at yourself for a long time. It can be a really lovely, I think it's a really lovely experience, and I love working on it with my clients and seeing them sort of get back to who they are.
100%. Where do people find you, Em, if this is something that they want to connect with you over or ask you any more questions? Where can they reach out to you?
I think subliminally I've dropped it in more than enough times, but it's Lovely with a double L, Lovely. Lovely, double L means double the life. Someone gave me that. I love it. Lovely by name, lovely by nature. So lovellycommunications.com. I'm on Instagram, LovelyM, LOVELLYEM. I'm on Twitter as Lovely Inc, INC at the end. And I'm sure we'll put up all these links. Search me on Facebook, Lovely Communications, and please connect with me on LinkedIn. Absolutely love connecting with people. Emma Lovell. So perfect. Drop the Y.
and I will put all of those links in the show notes in case people want to reach out, because I'm sure there will be some people who would love to come and have that lovely experience with you. You do a wonderful job of your own personal branding. And I love it that you've built it around your surname so beautifully. So Lovelly. It's great. Very clever. Well, thank you so much for that, Emma. Really have enjoyed chatting with you and deep diving into that topic. You've shared lots of fantastic information. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jane. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Such great tips from Emma from Lovelly Communications. I really hope that this discussion has encouraged you to think more about your personal brand as well as your team's personal brands and how they can help complement and even amplify your small business brand. Now, if you're a small business owner and you've listened to a few of the episodes of the How to Do Marketing show, or even if this is your first episode, and it's made you feel like it might be time to really step up the marketing for your business, let me tell you about the How to Do Marketing Academy. It's a 12-month program that I have developed especially for motivated and ambitious business owners just like you. Having worked with literally hundreds of small business owners all across Australia, I know that some of the biggest problems when it comes to marketing are that you might be a little bit unsure of where to start, or even a bit unsure about where to focus your efforts on, or where to invest your marketing budget. And then there's the whole issue of time, or more accurately, the lack of time. You certainly don't want to waste any of your budget by being inconsistent with your marketing efforts due to a lack of time and accountability. And when you are working with a lean budget, you want to be damn sure that the marketing that you do works. You want to be confident that your spend will drive a result. And so you should. Well, the How to Do Marketing Academy program has been designed to help provide you with clarity in direction and consistency in effort. And by achieving clarity and consistency, your marketing will really start working. And this provides you with the confidence that you need to invest in marketing that beautiful business of yours. And because we know the power of connection and community, we've actually thrown a bit of that in there as well. There's 3 levels available, and you can choose a program that matches your business's budget. Head on over to dragonflymarketing.com.au/the-academy/ to find out more. Until next time, happy marketing.